Saat ini, Anda sedang mendengarkan Radio Era Baru. Green Radio Line, Beyond the Limit.
Maybe for the first, you can introduce yourself for our listeners, please.
Oh, hi, Livia. Hi, Green Radio Online. Thank you so much for the opportunity. So I'm Jasmine Puteri, currently based in Oslo, working for Rainforest Foundation Norway. I've been working in Indonesia for the past 10 years in the forestry sector. And I'm really keen to have this discussion with you about climate change, about policy, about youth, and about women.
Okay, thank you so much for your time. And maybe I'm really curious the positions or the current living now, where you live right now, and about your job and also your activity in Norwegia.
Mm-hmm. So basically, I am working as advisor for Indonesia program at the Rainforest Foundation Norway. It's mainly focusing on rainforest protection, and Indonesia is one of our country program. Apart from Indonesia, we are also working in DRC, Congo Basin areas, as well as the Amazon, in Brazil, in Peru, and also in Southeast Asia. We also work in Papua New Guinea and also some part of Myanmar. So basically, we are working together with communities as mainly with indigenous people communities, as well as at the policy level, from international level, as well as at the national level. But my work mainly about rainforest protection in Papua, because Papua is I would say, the remaining forests, natural forests that we still have in Indonesia. And I am mainly working with the indigenous people and NGO communities there, as well as working on the policy side, advising how RFN can move forward with policy in Indonesia, as well as pushing the international agenda through this bilateral between Indonesia and Norway.
Okay, great, amazing. So, can I know like how many times or how you've been staying and abroad, like Norwegia or somewhere else in the air itself, the world itself?
Uh-huh. So basically, before this, I used to work for Greenpeace. I used to work for Greenpeace UK. I was based in London for a while. Then I moved to Austria, but mainly it was about scientific works, how we can assist Indonesian government for the policy on restoration. And then I moved back to Indonesia, and here I am now in Oslo, working for uh, rainforests and mainly forest protection in Indonesia.
Okay, yeah. Maybe before we're going to our interview right now, I really want to introduce myself. I'm Livia Collins. Now we are in the BUMI Kita program, or we say it, our Earth program in English. For Green Radio Line itself, this is the website radio that we are air, because the message about environment issues is important, and now we are basis in Pekanbaru, Riau, Indonesia. And yeah, I really want to say thank you for your time once again. And maybe I will ask about the situations in Norway itself, that we are now in the middle of the pandemic, and how it was impacted to the nations or your daily life, some things like that.
Mm-hmm. I mean, I came to Norway in the middle of the pandemic, but I think Norway put everything under control in regards to COVID. Well, apparently, currently the situation is not really that good because the case is increasing. However, it is under control. As for now, mask is very much mandatory for the public transport. But since I believe from cultural background, they already applied the social distancing on their daily activities. So it is not very difficult to see that Norwegians really keep that 1 meter distance. However, now the total case is 15,294. and which is, I would say, quite under control. And they also put quite strict, how you say, the border. They don't open their border, so they really put they close their border to make sure that the Norwegians are pretty safe from foreign infection, like imported cases. So that's what is happening now.
Okay, good. And yeah, maybe we are going to our topics right now. Like, for your point of view, what is climate issues or climate change of, and then what the main things that cause the climate change that we face right now in the world?
Mm-hmm. So with climate change, I think everyone knows that it is the one of the most important thing that we will be facing in the future, because it's not coming, it's happening already. So basically we are already experiencing climate change. And why it's happening, a lot of factors contributing to it. One of them is the usage of fossil fuel, because the fossil fuel creating this emission, which somehow becoming the global warming happening. And also because we don't maintain, from my issue, it would be from the forestry sector, because too much of land conversion, land use conversion, and it seems like forests that we know should function as the refrigerator of this earth that absorb the emission, unfortunately has been cut down all over the place for other purposes like agricultural, as well as for other things. So I think a lot of factors contribute to climate change, but fossil fuel usage is one of the main thing. And then the other thing is because we don't take care of our earth as we're supposed to. We destroyed so much that we don't pay attention that actually the earth requires balance, and make sure that we can, reduce our emission, because even each one of us contribute to emission, even the way how we eat, the way how we transport ourselves, and also other things. So a lot of factors, but mainly on the fossil fuel usage and the land conversion.
Okay, amazing. So you are specifically say that you also work for the rainforest, is that right, in Papua? And what exactly that you do in those agenda or those project itself?
Mm-hmm. So one of the things, our main approach is right-based approach. So we believe that the indigenous people are the main frontliners to keep our forests, our natural forests, intact, and they live sustainably, and they use their forest, they live their forest, they outsource everything from the forest sustainably. So we work very closely with the indigenous people groups, with the NGOs that are safeguarding these indigenous people's rights, as well as we make sure that the government from the policy side would um, ensuring these people rights over their land, over their forests, as well as to put and push the agenda for sustainable development. Because if we have sustainable and green development, it means that we are not jeopardizing our forests, we are not jeopardizing our environment. So that is from those two level, with the grassroots, with the communities, as well as with the government through policy changes, because we believe policy is very important, and policy is one of the main key element to make sure that everything works accordingly toward sustainable goals. Because SDGs, as what we know and we believe as our target as a nation, as the world as well, so then the welfare will be very well distributed.
Okay, Amazing. So we are talking about the case or the main cause that caused the crisis on the climate change. And I'm really curious for your point of view or what you have been seeing working in the rainforest or this environmental, like a world. And who is the one that caused, like the one that make this all happen, like the organizations or even the stakeholders that you think have to take the responsibility for what happening right now in our world or about the climate issues itself.
I think everyone has the responsibility, but I must say most of the destruction, most of the deforestation drivers happen because of our consumption that leads to company. And for example, in Indonesia, one of the main deforestation driver is the oil palm. So all of this land conversion for palm oil plantations becoming a major cause of how the forests are destructed and eventually contributing to climate change, because all of this emission that being sorry the carbon that being kept underneath the soil and also with the tree itself emitted out there, because trees have been being cut down. And I believe that companies as well as the government should or really have to be the one who responsible from all of this forest destruction, because it's not only because it destroy the forest, but also I believe in Riau, for example, having the peatland areas, and we know peatland is very rich of carbon. They keep the carbon, they maintain the carbon, and if we don't really regulate this from the policy side point of view, and then when you exploit the peatland, look what happened every year in Riau or even in Kalimantan. Forest fire keeps on happening every year, and that's why the political will is very important, which translated into the policy and which will be abide by the companies. And meanwhile, from our side as consumers, as users, we can demand more strong stringent policy when it comes to how we are sourcing our food, where it comes from, and we can demand that we want it to be sustainable. It's not only destructing the because it's not only destructing the environment, but also set aside communities becoming the marginalized people, becoming the victim when it comes to land grabbing, when it comes to this tenure conflict all over the place.
Yes, definitely. And the next question is that the change of the policies that we're talking right now can be the main solutions that to decrease the impact of climate change that happening right now, and how important itself to the policy to the environmental issues.
Okay, policy is one of the main key element. However, there are other factors that are contributing. But I believe a strong policy is important, because if you violate that policy, that you can be, how you call it, sanctioned in a way that you violate it. So law enforcement can come into the place. So if you don't have strong policy, then everyone have the the liberty to do whatever they want. So that is one of the main key element. However, there are other things that we have to consider, such as what I said, the willingness, the political will, and also the goodwill from the companies, if they really want to commit themselves to practice more sustainable ways, because we know exactly, even though if policy is in place, some violations still happen, and law enforcement doesn't happening. And so yeah, policy is very important, but there are also other factors that we have to consider about, including law enforcement, including how the communities and how the people could be, united and ask for and demand for better situation, better policy, better environment. So there are a lot of contributing factors for that. But yes, policy is very important as one of the key elements.
Okay, so we're moved that what kind of policies, like we have a lot of policies in the international and also
Mm-hmm.
national one. Sometimes the problem is about the monitoring one to the policy itself. The policy already strict, already strong, but especially this is happening in Rio or in Indonesia that we have the policies, but sometimes like the company or even the government didn't make it as strict as the title of the policy itself. What do you see about that?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, well, I believe there is no such thing as perfect policy,
Mm-hmm.
perfect regulation. There will always be loopholes on it, and people just playing around with that. And what I think is important is how the communities, the people, monitor this
Mm-hmm.
and report this, and very engage to the issue. Because if you don't make fuss about it, you don't move your self to make changes, then it won't happen. But um, on the other hand, apart from policy, I think law enforcement is very important.
Mm-hmm.
Having a clean law enforcement, not easy to be bribed, no corruption, it would be something that is very important to have. And also strong community, strong society, a resilient society will be very, very, very important. Because after all, it's always people power,
Mm-hmm.
and people can demand for change. And
Yes.
what kind of policy? I think it's in all so many level. International policy, we sign up to many international agreements. Paris Accord, for example, that
Mm-hmm.
we Indonesia signed it, and we agree that we will follow this Paris Agreement to reduce our emission level up. Not to make sure that the world will boil down to 1.5 degrees.
Mm-hmm.
And we also committed through our NDCs, or nationally determined contributions, that we will reduce 29 to 41% of our emissions level, from so many sectors, from land use, from waste, from energy, from IPPU, for example. And this is still at that international and national level. But we have to understand that it's also have to be translated into the subnational level, and
Mm-hmm.
even district level. So this is something that we, the society, the community, can work together with and monitor all of these, whether they are in accordance one to each one of them, and being applied
Yes.
by the government and by other stakeholders.
Yep, definitely. So you already mentioned about the regulations in the international, like Paris agreements and etc. And for the national one, can you like give to us like what regulations that we have in Indonesia related to the forestry issues or related to the environment itself?
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
So there are quite some, but I want to fleck this out with other, about the recent Omnibus Law.
Yeah.
Because I find it's very problematic,
Mm-hmm.
and it's a problem for all of us, not only for the labor issues, but also for the environment. And it will strip down all of these environmental protection regulations that we already have in place. And for example, the law 32 in the forestry sector, that would be law 41. These regulation will be jeopardized
Mm-hmm.
because a lot of things. For example, there will be no um, mandatory to keep the 30% of forests intact anymore.
Mm-hmm.
Not to mention that when it comes to forest fire, the strict liabilities will be removed, meaning that the companies don't have to be responsible for the forest fire when it happened. And even if they have to pay fine, there is a maximum cap of
Mm-hmm.
it.
Mm-hmm.
While we know exactly forest fire is very expensive, and with this kind of regulation, it just stripped down. And then not to mention that the environmental license will be removed and environmental impact assessment will be weakened. And all of these regulations are in those Undang-Undang 32 or Law 32, or when it comes to forestry, it's written in Law 41 atau Undang-Undang 41. And with this omnibus law, it will just strip down everything. And licenses, but business licenses will be easy. And all of these things will be relaxed from investment point of view. And environmental protection will be in jeopardy. So no matter how regulations we are currently have, will be stripped down. And this is something that we really have to be able to demand and ask as society, as communities, how this environmental protection is still in place, while on the other hand, omnibus law is on our way.
Yes, definitely. So currently in Indonesia itself, we face a lot of like mobilizations or mass mobilizations. It's in the big number. Like people are considering that to like to be aware about the regulations that could impact not only for economical but also for the environment. And for your point of view about like many people are dying and also missing after the demonstrations that happened in the Thursday, if I'm not mistaken, what you see about like these mobilizations and also this omnibus law itself, and do people, like, do we have another chance to, like, to declare about what we really want to the government to be listen to us?
I think it is very important. We have to keep being critical towards the government and try our best to do it in a very safety way, because we know exactly we're in the middle of pandemic. But sometimes we gotta do what we gotta do. Meanwhile, for example, me, I'm very far away. The only thing that I can do is campaigning through my social media. So what youth can do, or each one of us can do, is trying to campaign this through our social media and make sure that people around you, your friends, your colleague, your family knows about this, and tell them that there are red flags about this, not only about environment, not only about labor, but also about the next generation. What would happen to the next generation if the natural resources will be, exploited now? I cannot imagine what would be Indonesia's 50 years ahead next generation will have. What kind of environment that we inherit them, what kind of air quality, what kind of disasters. Because, when it comes to climate change policy, but we have to remember, with climate change, one of the how you say, a difficult part will be the natural disasters, because we will have more frequent natural disasters, and all of these natural disasters are triggered when we are doing environmental destruction. And omnibus law is one of the things that will destroy our environment. So it will be, when we talk about Paris Agreement, then omnibus law will also jeopardizing and also ruining our climate change commitment. So how we deal with this, we have to stand up, we have to be united, and we have to demand for our rights as a citizen of having good environment, having a good quality of life. So I would say, make a discussion with your team in the office, make a discussion with your peer groups in the campus, keep talk about it, and pinpoint what are the things that you can contribute to raise this, because the government have to listen to the people, and we are the people, and the people is demanding for this regulation to be revoked, and this cannot, go forward just because of investment's sake. Yes, economy is important, but we have a future that we have to think about.
Yes, definitely. And I personally think that after like this is become the regulations in Indonesia, the Omnibus Law itself, many people are a little bit like have awareness that about the environmental issues, about the climate policies, about the climate change. And exactly, I really want to ask to you like where do people can get the best informations about the climate policies, and because I think and also maybe this is really important to just know about the policies that we have throughout the environment.
hmm I think the easiest way would be to engage or find more on the social media.
Yes.
Every information is there. It's on the website, it's on the social media, it's on your Instagram, even nowadays, on Twitter. So just engage yourself with all of those conversation because there are a lot of NGOs talk about it. If I have to name it in Indonesia, it would be, for example, Walhi,
Mm-hmm.
and then also Greenpeace, also Madani, Ekonusa. If you are working in the eastern part of Indonesia, they are advocating so much about how we have to keep our forests, maintain our environment in the eastern part of Indonesia, Maluku, Papua, and then also there is this movement called Climate Strike,
Yes.
which is quite well known all over the world. And in Indonesia, we have that one too, called Jeda Iklim. So you can just try to look up to it. And personally, me and some of my friends, we also initiating some of our youth movement. We really want young people to understand more about climate policy,
Mm-hmm.
how we can contribute, how Indonesia is having an important role to maintain our commitment. So we have this movement called Youth and NDC's Manifesto that
Uh-huh.
you can also contact me if you are keen to join this movement and also to get more information about it. And then also there is a 350 or 350. They are doing this Jeddah Iklim with other NGOs, but also I think a lot of things happening out there. As long as you search for it, there will always be information coming out to you.
Yes, definitely. And many people, or maybe if I'm take a example like me, didn't even know about the regulations and how important it is to my daily life as a person. That, and maybe you can give some, like influence or advice to these issues to the people.
hmm
Mm-hmm.
Well, your life, first of all, your life matters.
Yep.
And whatever you do, it has to be with politics. It has to be with a policy. Even the way how we are interacting now that we can talk to each other
Mm-hmm.
is part of democracy. And democracy is very well related to policy and politics. So you have to be aware with what you have and not be granted about it. And I think one of the things that you can value or something that you can thing as important is how you want to project your life in the future for your family. And starting from that point, I think you would be aware enough that understand the policy is very important because that's how you are safeguarding your rights to live, your rights to your education, your rights to health, your rights for everything. So you have to engage yourself in the policy making process and be critical about it because your life matters. And yeah, just like for example for what is happening now in the United States,
Mm-hmm.
um, Obama keep on campaigning this vote, vote. Why do you have to vote? Because your life matters and your future will rely on those policies with the politic what is going on in your country. Let it be for your education, your health, whatever that is. So it's important for you to understand the policy.
Yes, definitely. And we also talk about the youth and also the woman in this topic today. So, how the climate change and also its policies intertwine to the youth and also the woman itself.
hmm So with youth, I believe youth will be the next generation that we pass the baton to. and the fights, the battle will continue, and we have to make sure that we have strong, resilient young people to push things forward for the betterment. And youth are the one who will be put at risk when it comes to environmental destruction. They will be the one who suffer from natural disasters, the more frequent natural disaster. They are the one who would live in the future with everything that we live in this world. So youth must be super engaged with politics, with climate change, because they are the one who are at risk. Let's say 50 years from now, if God forbid, I will still be living and still having this kind of quality of life. But for the youth who have to live for the 80, 100 years ahead, they will not get as good what I am having here if we don't maintain what we have now. And then as for women, it's very important because when it comes to climate change, especially with my works working with communities, they are the first one who spot climate change. For example, all of these indigenous people communities, they are the one who knows where to get the medicines from the forest. They are the one who knows what kind of food that we can consume from the forest. They are the one who look for the water source. They are the one who basically can read. Even I know in Indonesia there are some indigenous people communities where women knows how to read the stars, so they know when they can start ploughing and start doing the agricultural activities. So I believe women is very important in the framework of climate change because they are the one who is responsible to understand the natural resources, and they are the one who always look for solution, because no matter what, whether climate change happening or not, they are still have to put food on the plate at their homes. They are the one who have to get water to their home if they are really living in very remote areas, and they are the one who knows that all of this natural resources deteriorating. So it's important to involve women in the policy making process as well as youth.
Yes, definitely. But like the problem nowadays, not nowadays, like the problem of the if we are talking about women and also youth, like the number of women and youth that participate in the regulations making, or like that the women that participate in the table to just talk about the politics and climate issues is only a limited number. And how do the women and youth can participate whenever they are not like many of movement and not well educated, and many of youth people are saying you are too young to just talk about the regulations, about the policies. And what do you think about this?
So the key, I think, is how this empowered youth or empowered women empower other women and empower other youth.
Yes.
By identifying people who are already empowered, then they can, start doing this to other people. And that's how we becoming strong communities, resilient communities. And I think it's very important to stay and be critical about a lot of things. And so youth as a movement or women movement, I think we have, if you are empowered, you have to empower other people and start to bring them in all together to be in the same side with yours and push the agenda forward. Because by the end of the day, if you don't empower other people while you are empowered, that would be very selfish. And
Yes.
I think empowerment is very important to the community, and that's how we can start engaging people.
Definitely, just like what you have been work right now, like to empower the youth, and that's a really amazing word, by the way.
But also another thing to take as a note, we have to listen to them as well. If you are empowered and you are a leader already, you have to listen to them. What they want, what exactly they need, and how you can facilitate. Because it cannot always a top-down approach. It has to be a bottom-up approach, because I think a good leader is the one who listens.
Yes.
while talking less. So if you are empowered, empower others, but do not forget to listen first.
Definitely. And maybe we are going to the next questions that do people like really have the rights or a chance to criticize and also to the policies and the regulations? Like maybe we are sometimes people are thinking that we have no rights, we have no power to just criticize, the people the people that stands as our governments and also people that make the regulations and related to the environment. And what is the effective way to just talk about this issue to the society today that you think?
First of all, no one is too small to make a change. That's what Greta Thunberg said.
Yes.
So, but I believe in that. So no matter how small you are, how young you are, how you feel small about yourself, you are never that small, and you can always make a change. So that is something that you have to stem on yourself first. And how you can make a change, I think, because I believe in community. So engage with your community, have a discussion about it, find your nearest organization, find your nearest movement. Then the way how you engage and be together, that is how you can work together as a community, and that's how you can be criticized, how you can be very critical towards a lot of things. And so my suggestion would be, first of all, never feel too small, because you can always make a change. Remember, Greta started that on her own, and look what she has done. She moved youth movement all over the world, and I think that's what she did, no? And then she attract people, because if you are a person with value and you know exactly what you want to do and what kind of change you want to make, then you attract other people. Then people believe in your values, so they join you, they want to be with you. And once you have that kind of big, massive people, then you can start whatever change you want to make.
Definitely, yes. And maybe this is out of topic, but I'm really curious. You are have been spending your time like working in the forestry and also in the environment issues. What is the main reason that make you jump to this career and also to be concerned for the environmental itself?
So just to tell a little bit of my story, and I think I'm very lucky. I would say that I didn't need a lot of time to find my passion. I interacted and met with the right people, and just the call just came like that. So it was the first time when I had to do monitoring and evaluation for a forestry project back in 2012, if I'm not mistaken, or 2011. It was about social forestry in Sumba, and that was my first time. Went to Sumba with very limited, um, signal, and we stayed in a very modest place, and then we interacted a lot with the communities over there, and then I saw much of disparity. I mean, leave alone Jakarta, because it's completely different. But I mean, apart from its neighboring areas, like for example, Bali, like the disparity is so apparent, it breaks my heart. And talking with them at the human level, trying to understand them, listens their difficulties and how they have to live with all of these, water scarcity and everything. That's the time when, okay, this is it. I really want to help them. I know, and if I want to help them, I think it would be from the policy side, because that's what I have a capacity on. And so, yeah, it was a call. And no, I really want to work for the forestry sector. And then once I learn and understand about gender, then how gender plays a crucial role in the natural resource management, and it was the time when I felt it was a call. And by having this interaction with real people, real humans, that's when it moved me, and okay, I really want to stay in this world, in this field. And now with youth, it's just something that just came to me, and I found many friends who have the same concerns with me, and I thought, yeah, why don't we do anything? Why don't we do something about it? And yeah, and trust me, don't hesitate to do something that you think, you believe that is right thing to do.
Uh-huh. Yes, definitely. But like if we see the situations, like the urban areas, that people that live in the city, like many people doesn't really know about the environment issues, that they're not facing the environmental issues as bad as the people that live in the grassroots area, like in the village, and they're facing a lot of like discriminations, and also they didn't have any rights for land, especially because there is a big company right there, and they have no power to be talked about. And what you are doing, like you going to the grassroots, and it makes you touch it makes you aware about this issue. Do you think it is important for us, like who live in the urban areas, who live in the city, to just going to see the nature itself, to see what happened in the grassroots, that maybe we can participate to just to the movement itself?
I would say start something small, something simple. Even if it's in the urban area, trust me, in every kind or every corner of Indonesia, urban area suffers from air quality.
Yeah.
So we can start from there. We don't have to talk big about change the policy, make sure that everyone has the rights to their land. No, it won't get into their head. So start from little things like air quality, water quality. Um, um, what else? As I'm from Jakarta, everyone can relate with one, traffic,
Yes.
bad air quality, flood. Those three things are very related to environment. And you can, starting from those little simple things that they encounter and they are facing in their daily life. And when it comes to environment things, just be consistent. If you keep on talking the same thing all over again to your friends, to your family, then they know that you are very consistent voicing it out.
Uh-huh.
So you have a concern about it. And I think that's the time when people, this girl is serious about this. And I think it's very important to support her, because we are facing the same thing. We don't have good air quality. We keep on having flood every year, and traffic jam is just like a crazy thing every day. How we can, then we can start, engaging. Like, okay, how about not using the car every day? Mom, dad, your brother, your sister, whoever, why don't we kind of scale it down? Use the public transport 3 days in a week, and the rest that we can use. We have to be comfortable enough and understand that changes is incremental. It's not something that you can just do it in overnight. So I think the key is, do start from simple thing. Consistent about it, keep voicing out, and yeah, as I am a person who believe in community, then engage with the same-minded people like you, and people will see, and people will understand that you're serious about it.
Okay, amazing. Okay, and maybe we have moved to another questions that I have today. So, how to make people like to interested and to learn more about these issues, about the environmental issues and the policy, especially if we're talking about the woman who just only work in the home, like in the in the house itself, or the youth that didn't have interested with these issues, like they only focus on their own, like maybe because this is the problem if we are facing the people that live in the city, like they can't, we say like too egoistic to just know about a lot of things, and how do we share the stories and also to make them interested and want to learn more?
I think I would say use the momentum. As for now, COVID is the momentum. And remember how COVID started. COVID started because we destroyed our forests. It's zoonotic disease. Then we can just try to are you sure you want to go? I mean, like with your friends or your family,
Uh-huh.
are you sure you want to go through pandemic again in what, 2, 3 years time? Of course you don't, because this is suffering enough for us. We cannot hug people that we love. We cannot interact in the social life, that we cannot be, how we are doing things in the past. And if we keep on destroying the forest, we keep on destroying the environment, trust me, natural disasters, pandemic will starting again. And I believe use the momentum. If you say, if you don't like this pandemic, so we have to maintain our forests, we have to maintain our environment, and how to be aware about it. Yeah, I will say start with small talk, with small things, because we cannot go big and then people wouldn't relate to you if you don't
Mm-hmm.
understand what you're talking about. If you can touch them with their daily routine, with their daily problems, then I think people will understand. And as what I said, it's incremental. You cannot push people to be understanding the environment issues in one night. It has
Mm-hmm.
to be consistent work, keep on putting in their mind that is important. So I believe that empowered people, or people who have at least understanding about the environment, should influence others. And also try to change your lifestyle,
Mm-hmm.
and having this consistency of your lifestyle. For example, little things. Stop using plastic. Then when you go to a coffee shop, you stop asking for the cup, the one, the plastic or the paper cup, that
Uh-huh.
you bring your own, or you don't use your straw anymore. These are small gestures, but very meaningful. If the people, your friends, keep on seeing you that way, that you are consistent about it, and then we can make it as a very hips lifestyle, then people will follow you. And I think we have, as people who have environmental issues, we have to come up with more fresh ideas, how we can make people on our side, and make sure people that want to change, and demanding for the same thing.
Okay, yeah, it's amazing. But you are also mentions about the COVID-19. It's the pandemic is because we are, like exploit the forestry, and I think many people not even realize about these issues. Can you a little bit specific to these stories? I think this is, this is interested to be told more.
So basically, well, Greenpeace talked a lot about this couple of months ago, if I'm not mistaken. So the pandemic is linked to environmental disasters, and there are a lot of articles as well as journals about it, how environmental destruction linked to pandemic. So from my understanding, basically a lot of these diseases
Mm-hmm.
which was being kept maintained in the natural lives, in the wildlife, in the wilderness, came along with either the animals or the people who destroy them. Like for example, the COVID is allegedly linked to the bat,
Mm-hmm.
and people consume the bat that already infected by the COVID, and the
Yes.
COVID itself comes from the forest. And also there are other things like Zika, for example. Zika mosquitoes came even from the wilderness,
Mm-hmm.
or even swine flu or any kind of other diseases. It linked when we destroyed the environment. And probably just to share a little bit, there are some scientific findings, if I'm not mistaken. It says that basically, well, I can share you the link about it,
Mm-hmm.
but basically, also, sorry. So I don't know if you guys aware of permafrost. So permafrost is a layer which already being underneath, and being kept in the Arctic during the ice age,
Mm-hmm.
that contain a lot of life basically, but also diseases.
Okay.
So if we keep on warming the planet, we know exactly that the ice will be melting, and this permafrost disease that was being there hundred of years ago, even million years ago, when it's melted, it will go out and it will go together with whatever air or the water, and we can be infected with all of this disease that we don't know about, because it only exists 100 or even million years ago. So if we keep on warming this planet, these diseases that we don't know even will appear. So it's very much linked how we live and how we destroy the environment will bring us to all of this pandemic. I hope it kind of answer your question.
Yes, definitely. It was a great, like explanations, by the way. And maybe for the last, we are come to the last questions today. Your closing statement, or even your calls to the people in internationals and also in Indonesia. Maybe you can use in your language, your own language, Indonesia, to the people to just say hi to the listeners in Indonesia, please.
Oke, untuk semuanya, untuk anak muda khususnya para pendengar, siapapun yang mendengar ini, kita tahu Indonesia akan menghadapi perubahan iklim yang sudah menghadapi perubahan iklim yang sangat jelas, di mana banyak bencana alam, banyak kerusakan alam yang terjadi. So use your voice. Kita harus semua bergerak dan menyuarakan suara kita bahwa kita mempunyai hak untuk masa depan yang lebih baik untuk generasi selanjutnya. Kita bisa meminta pemerintah, kita bisa secara aktif, secara bersuara dan berpolitik untuk meminta masa depan yang lebih baik dengan lingkungan yang lebih baik. So start moving, and then work together side by side with other people and voicing out what you think and important to say. And we have the rights to a good environment, and that is something that we can demand for us, for our kids, for the next future generation. And please be engaged, be critical.
Yes, amazing. I really want to say thank you because like what you have been shared to us, I 100% it will inspire people and make people aware and realize about these issues. And I personally learned a lot of things from you today. Like I would like to say thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you for your time. Thank you for this opportunity.
Okay, I think that's all. Thank you so much for having me, for having us in your Saturday, like in your weekend today. And yeah, bye.
Bye.
Saat ini, Anda sedang mendengarkan Radio Era Baru, Green Radio Line, Beyond the Limit.